my name's Amelia. I'm an occupational therapist as well as the owner and founder of Higher Standards Caregiver Training, and this is the next video in the series that we're hosting on safety with patient lifts, aka Hoyers. So today we're going to be talking about slings, which you may have guessed since I am holding a sling. I've got another sling here behind me. Slings are absolutely one of the things that people have the most questions on when it comes to using a patient lift. Like, how do you know what sling to use? How do you know whether or not you should cross the bottom of the sling? How do you know it's the right size? There are so many different questions that come along with slings, but there's one in particular that I'm going to address here today, and that has to do with safety when selecting which loop is going to be attached to the actual hook of the bar on the Hoyer. And I'm actually going to use this full body sling here today. Full disclosure, I actually shot this once and I did it with someone laying in the sling, and it was just a lot harder to see that way. So we're redoing it now so that you can actually see what I'm talking about a little bit more, because what we want to talk about here are these loops. And just to give a little bit of reference here, this is a full body mesh sling. And when I talk about the loops, I'm talking about these things here. And there are loops on each side of the top of the sling. And there are also loops on each side of the bottom of the sling. And today's video is about an important difference between the loops that we choose on the top and the loops that we choose on the bottom. So of course, for both the top and the bottom, whichever loop you choose, you want to make sure it's the same on both sides, right? So if I choose, for example, the green loop up top, I want to use on one side, I want to use the green loop up top on the other side so that that's nice and even. I should also point out here that this is really handy that these loops are color coded. It makes it much easier to make sure that they are the same on both sides. And it makes it a lot easier to communicate about that with a second person who is helping with the patient lift transfer. If you don't have a sling that is color-coded, and not all slings do have color-coded loops here. If you don't have color-coded loops, it's really important to make sure that you're counting those loops in order to ensure that they are even on both sides. But oddly enough, that was not the tip that I intended to talk about today. So what we're talking about, though, is the need to, whenever possible, select loops on the top that are further down than the loops that you are selecting on the bottom. So say, for example, I have someone in the sling and I select the green loops, the second loop in the middle here. I would want to make sure that for the loops on the bottom, I'm selecting a loop that is actually higher on here, so there's more slack, okay? So, and I would want to select either the purple or the black, all right? And here's the reason for that. When this person is raised up in the sling, we want their head to end up higher than their bottom. So they're closer to a seating position. This is going to be really important to actually make it so we can get someone into a wheelchair or onto a bedside commode if that's what we're using the lift for that transfer. But also it's really important that we don't have people upside down or inverted when they're using the left or in the sling. One, just because being moved around with a Hoyer can be scary, no matter what. It's going to be way scarier if you've got someone upside down. And when someone is scared and panicking, that is never a good recipe for safety. But the other reason is, in general, we just don't want people inverted for lots of different medical reasons, right? So from a functional standpoint, from a medical standpoint, from a safety and experiential standpoint, we always want to make sure that that person's head is going to be higher than their hips during that transfer. So that's why we select those loops the way that we do. If you need more information, if you want a comprehensive review of lifts, of slings, of all their parts, functions, and how they work, then we have that course available at Higher Standards Caregiver Training 24/7. That's available at higherstandardscaregivertraining.com. Please make sure that you are subscribing, following, and liking this video wherever you're watching it. That way you will get notifications on whenever the next video is dropped. Until next time, y'all, please take care. Bye.